and an opening prayer by Councilman Chaves. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, we're grateful to bow our heads before thee, grateful for the opportunity we have to conduct and participate in this city council meeting. We're grateful for those citizens that are on Zoom and that are here present with us. Pray that we might be able to appreciate their comments and their dedication to the city and their interest in the city affairs. And we pray that we might have that spirit to be with us this evening, and ask for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, at this time, if anyone has a statement of belief or an alternate opening prayer, please come forward. All right, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. Everybody like the agenda the way it's laid out?
Mayor, make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any declarations of conflicts? City council members?
None.
All right, none. Great, we're moving on. Consent agenda. Review and possible approval of meeting minutes from June 4th, 2024, special city council meeting, and June 5th, 2024, city council meeting. You guys looked at the minutes? We look good on those?
I move that we go ahead and we approve the meeting minutes from June 4th and also June 5th.
Second. I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Review of possible approval of city expenditures from May 2024. See any problems, any questions on the expenditures this last month?
I move that we go ahead and we approve the city expenditures for May of 2024.
Just wanted to know what it was.
Is that an individual vote or?
No, this is just a regular expenditure vote. I have a motion. Wayne, you have a second? Todd?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Do you have any discussion?
Did you have some, Wayne? Or?
I did. I lost it. I outlined a couple things, but I can ask later.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are going to move into our public forum portion of the meeting. This time, come up and state your name and address, and 3 minutes to bring up anything that's not on our agenda this evening.
Just in time.
I guess you are.
Stacy Eaton.
And you live here in Tokerville?
I do live here in Tokerville. I don't even know what's on the agenda, but I don't care either. This is the first time I've had a chance to address the city council since I was on the planning commission as the chair. And I'm going to ask the mayor, even though we talked about it, give me just a few more minutes than 3 minutes, because I got a few things to cover. When I first came, or this morning when I thought about coming here, I was pretty fired up. I see changes that need to be made in Tokerville, and from where I'm sitting, I don't see the changes being made. There's some serious issues that are going on in this town, and I think they need to be changed. I came up this morning, I'm ready to just both barrels. Now, nobody call the sheriff, I'm not threatening anybody, figure of speech. I've talked to you, Mayor, today a couple of times. I've really thought about this. I think, so when you asked me to stay on for planning commission last December, I told you I didn't want to stay there. I'm done. I saw what staff did to to the previous planning chair. I didn't want to have to go through it. I was tired of it. You said, ask me to stay. I says, I will. I says, but I'm not going to allow to happen to me what happened to the last planning chair. Well, lo and behold, it happens. You guys need to make a decision on if you're going to continue down this road or if you're going to fix the problem. If you can't fix the problem, then I think the curtain needs to be peeled back. And I think the public needs to see what's been going on with city council and individuals misleading city council, misleading planning commission. I hate standing here. I am shaking. I hate standing here. You know, I was ready with links to city council meetings, to planning commission meetings, trying to figure out logistics of recordings. Let's just throw it out in the public and let's get it all. I've been telling you guys for how many months, get a separate entity to do a serious audit of the city. It hasn't happened. I'm encouraging you to do that and to clean your house, because this house needs to be cleaned. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I don't want to have to keep coming back every planning commission at 3 minutes a time and going over this crap. I'm just begging you guys. I begged for 3 months to come and be allowed to speak to you guys, either in a public meeting or in a closed session. I was not allowed. So just clean your house. Then the other thing I've got is I'm watching planning commission meeting. Attorney Eakins, 3 months for a grading ordinance, and you still don't know the answers to it, to all of it. I'm laying underneath a van of an attorney. It's in my garage. We're working on his van. I says, well, these are the 3 changes that the city asked to change to the grading ordinance. I'm tightening some bolts, and within 5 minutes, he's explained all 3 of them and sent me an email with state statute of them. You're telling the planning commission you still don't have the answers to all of it. What in the hell is going on? You guys need to clean the house. And it just can't keep going on. There's a cancer in this town. You need to clean it out.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anita Eaton, also of Tokerville. The last planning commission meeting, there was a reference, or one of the items on the agenda was a review of the policy and procedure. Policy and procedure, according to city code in 10.3.1 states, under planning commission, item H, the planning commission shall adopt the policy and procedures consistent with this chapter and state law. Somewhere a policy and procedure has been written, and it's been written by and was stated by the city attorney that it was written by the city's treasurer. As I read through the items that were in that draft copy of it, they are contrary to 10.3.1 of the city code. And the city code indicates that there is a term of 4 years. The draft says 5 years. In that there's option for 2 alternates at the discretion of the recommendation of the mayor and the approval of the city council. An individual would move up. In the meeting that was held last week for planning commission, the recorder said, no, you need to apply. That's what's in the policy and procedures. That is not in the policy and procedures. In fact, less than 2 minutes into that meeting, the recorder references the policy and procedures that is not adopted by planning commission nor adopted by the city council. There are other things that are written in that code that are contrary to what is written in that draft copy of the policy and procedures. policy in the code is that the planning chair is a full voting member of the body. In the new code, they are no more than a facilitator of the meeting. We also have in that the attorney, the engineer, and the whole of the planning commission is underneath the guise of the city manager. Well, that takes it outside of where it should be, and that should be under the direction of the city council, yet it should actually be a separate body altogether. So there are a number of things that are in this that are incorrect. One of the meetings, and I failed to look up what it was, but I could easily do it. There was a quorum of 3 that were here. The mayor was not here. Gary Chaves was pro temp. The attorney was not here. The only ones that were here were Gary Chaves, Todd Sands, and Wayne Olson, and that was for the grading ordinance. You need a quorum, and that is correct. You had a quorum, but we're directed by the city manager that with the vote, the quorum had to vote unanimous. That is not correct. It is the majority. So only 2 people needed to vote yay or nay in order for that to either pass or fail. They were directed erroneously by the city manager, which said the quorum had to vote unanimous in order for something to go through. And that is in state code.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we're going to close this section of our public forum, and we're going to move into our public hearing. Public hearing is now opened. Item 1 is public input is sought on resolution 2024, resolution amending fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Okay, Daisy, you want to pull that resolution up? Does anybody have anybody from the city, any citizens want to talk about our amending the budget for 2023-2024? All right, we're going to move on to our public hearing forum. Public input is sought on resolution 2024, a resolution to adopt the proposed fiscal year of 2024-2025 budget. This has been posted and publicated for 60 days, I think, almost now. So does anybody have any questions on our 2024-25 budget? Okay, we're going to close this section of public hearing, and we're going to move into our business items. Item business F1, discuss a possible action on a resolution 2024, a resolution amending fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Okay, you guys got any questions on the?
Explain what you amended.
Well, it's in
This is
the,
the presentation from the last one.
yeah, we amended the budget, the things that moved. Which part do you want to go through the whole budget? What do you want to do?
We're still on we're still on budget.
Yes,
Just
this
shifted.
is 2024, not over the
It
public
was-
hearing. Now we're into our business item.
It was a matter of balancing the budget.
Yeah, just taking stuff that we didn't spend here, we moved to here. We didn't go over budget. We just moved things from one line item to another line item. So we didn't ask for any more money, just to balance stuff out. So.
Anybody else have any comments? Do you have questions?
Not on that one.
Okay. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the resolution amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion on this item? I'd like to do a roll call vote. Start with you, Chuck.
Yay. Yay.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. All right, item F2, discuss the possible action on resolution 2024, a resolution to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. So this is the budget we've put on for next year. We've looked at it, we've seen it, we've had meetings over it. Is there any questions, any modifications, anything we need to discuss?
I have one question. I just want to make sure. So from 2023, we went down about, it looks like, just say roughly 100,000. And then in 2025, we're kind of just back up that 100,000, but we're only $1,000 different than 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That was my question. I want to make sure I was reading that correctly and
And that's in regards to the general fund.
Right.
the general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the general fund, yep. Okay, any questions, any more discussion on this budget for the next year?
Anybody?
What's that?
Nobody?
No, I think,
Must be rock solid then, huh?
but we've been working on it since March, so we should know by now.
They have then.
Yeah, well, we had our meeting too, and our sit down but yeah, they've done a good job on the budget, so.
No increases, that's good.
Okay, just need a motion.
I move that we go ahead and approve the budget for 24-25.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Joey, we'll start on your side.
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries. All right, item F3, discussion and ratification on a phone vote taken on June 10th, 2024, approving a change order in the amount of $1,835,033.08 from JP Excavating, Inc. for the Hogs Back Slope South, a remediation on the Tocqueville Parkway project. So this is the one the state's approved. I've signed the change order after we had the phone vote of this change to fix the slopes on the south side where we had the big boulder fallout. So they're up there drilling now. I think you guys have all seen the drill rig up there. They're getting ready to blast and work on the south slope.
You just want to fill them in like what we're doing or
Oh, yeah. So,
tell everybody what we're up to on.
yeah. So on the south slope, we're doing the engineers designed it. We have a 2.5 to 1 for a little ways. Then it back up to a steeper section through the rock and then lays back on top. So we're basically going to go almost all the way to the mailboxes up on top of that hill. There's going to be a gradual slope come down. There's going to be a little 20-foot spot where if the rock falls, it hits and slows down before it goes off to the road. This prevents rock fall problems, any kind of slippage, anything. So this pretty much is, in my opinion, is the way it should have been done originally, but it didn't. So anyway, so this is the fix on the south.
So we phone voted this.
We did. And this is just a ratification. It's already been approved.
I know it's already been approved, but I had a hard time with it because of the timing for me. I had no idea it was coming. And to call me and Daisy graciously give me more time, but I didn't have time enough to really go through it. So I voted yay for it because it's going to happen. But I'm really having a hard time with the phone votes in that type of a situation because it could have waited possibly, but I feel that the contract is conditional, way too conditional. This is a condition. This isn't a bid. This is a conditional bid. If anything goes wrong, we pay. I mean, if a fly lands on them and they swat it, we're gonna have to pay for that inconvenience, the way this reads. I've never put together a bid where you say you're gonna do it for $14.37 a yard, but then if you can't rip it with a little 75,000 pound machine, then we can negotiate any price. So I would like a little more time possibly.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
I understand, but and here's where we have our project engineers reviewed it. We've had, the state has reviewed it and they've all signed off on it, on the contract. So we're the very last of it.
But nobody signs off on a conditional contract. This is conditional. So either got overlooked or it's not firm, is what I'm saying. It's not firm.
You're right. The terms on that contract, you're right. But basically, they're covering their bases for unforeseen events that may occur. And that's what they're doing.
And I understand this is not a normal bid job. This is, they're trying to fix a problem.
Yeah.
So they can't, how do you know what's going to come up on a problem when you know there's a problem, but you don't know what the problem
Well,
is?
you drill it and blast it, you should be able to
Right.
remove it. But now if I drill and blast it and I can't remove it, I want more money.
More dynamite.
Yeah, so that was for me.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm not changing
that's
my vote,
great.
So.
Right.
So,
Yeah. but it's good to know. But yeah, this is, and that's where I'm at, is I'm not a specialist in all of this. That's if the other engineer approves it and then the state approves it, and it comes down to us the very last, I'm, kind of not going to question too much if the state says it's okay. So
The phone was just to get them
the
rolling.
contractor moving.
Get them moving, get that rock out of there and,
I'll get to start blasting. They're going to leave the rock until, that's a good buffer as things come off the hill. That's actually going to stop a lot. They're actually going to leave the rock until they blast. So,
And Mayor or Afton, will one of you please go over the funding model again so that our residents understand where this money's coming from? And how it's being-
Appropriation from the state of Utah.
yeah, it's state money that was given to the city.
So
to
again,
build.
it's not, it's, so again, it's not,
Tocqueville
it's not
Tocqueville
correct.
citizens paying for this.
Okay.
This is coming from a one-time appropriation from the state of Utah.
thank you.
So, yeah.
and as Afton stated in the past, that there is not going to be a property tax increase on this particular budget.
Right.
Right.
So this is just a ratification. I'd like to get a vote just to ratify once again.
Whoever made the
Yeah,
motion.
who made the motion originally?
I think it was Chuck and I seconded it.
Okay. Chuck, could you make a motion to approve this, item 3?
You want me to make it again?
Yep.
Okay. I move that we accept this appropriation of $1.835 million to JP Excavating for the Hogsback Slope South remediation to the Tocqueville Parkway project.
And I will second that again.
Okay. Might as well do a roll call since it's already done a phone call, but start on your end, Joey.
Aye.
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 All right. We're going to move on to item F4, discuss the possible action on a municipal exception for placing the material from the Hogback Slope south of the Tocqueville Parkway project.
So Mayor, did you want me to report on
Yes,
that?
please.
So essentially, this is what we've done is we've done this as we have built the parkway. We've had, obviously there's cut material, there's excess material that's needed to come out. We have worked with a couple of the different property owners there to actually place some of the dirt and rock and material that is usable on their properties. They've allowed us to do this on 2 places. One is down on this map. You can see the green is down there just south of the Westfield Road. Their plans and projects have required extra dirt, needing things there, as well as up there on their north side of their master plan. So this is to be able to take that dirt, as we talk about, and the previous item you were talking about, the cost is not having to, truck that material clear to St. George or wherever they need to, brings that cost down for Tocqueville City. And I know that the Firelight as well as Doug Westbrook have been in communication to be able to accomplish areas where, identified areas where that they could put and place this to be actually usable as they develop their property. So it's not going to stockpile. It's not doing things such as that. It is just to place the dirt in areas where they know they're going to be needing excessive material to be brought in or be brought from one side of their property or their project, their master plan to this side. So it helps them as well as us.
Engineered fill.
It will be engineered fill.
So who will do the perpetual maintenance on it for dust and soil crust or something on it?
It will, okay. There will be a little bit of stockpile, yes. It will not be an engineered grading plan, but they will be able to take that and stockpile it on as you can see per the map in your packets.
Blue section there.
It's
Whose
kind of a green-
responsibility is
It's a
it
green
to,
section.
In the green.
Oh, in the green.
The stuff on sorry, I didn't.
Who's going to take care of the dust control, the remediation, why it sits there for how long it sits there?
We're helping each other, aren't we? I think we're working.
Working together with Westbrook, we're going to, as they place it and things such as that, we'll definitely.
It looks like if you do the Westfield, you're probably going to put it in place and top that one off and then move further north is probably the plan.
Westfield's done for right now.
Is it?
But this is a new area that we're purchasing so that we can put the excess dirt that's coming out of the
And
Hogstack failure.
will the original MOU still stand for hauling on the road with the legal loads or?
Yeah, it's still the
Still
same.
the
They
same,
gotta stay,
okay.
it's legal, the legal limit loads, all, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
So
It is, so, and your answer question there is stockpile, but it's not going to be like a crushing yard or crush yard or a gravel extraction permit.
So basically what I'm asking, when they're gonna be done, they're gonna soak it all down really good, so it can't just.
They'll crust it over. We'll work together with them. We'll provide water. It helps us as much as them.
we'll work through it.
And then, but there is some material identified there that we'll not be able to use. That will not be brought up here to this site.
Yes, there's the clay portion that Dutch Creek Sewer District, they want it, so that's gonna go to the sewer district,
Dave's
so.
older.
Only questions I had.
That boulder's getting broke up, so. So, okay.
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve business item 4 on the municipal exemption for placing material from the Hogsback Slope south of Tokerville Parkway project.
I'd second that.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
sorry, sorry, my bad. Any more discussion?
So is there some type of a written agreement? I noticed you've got something in your hands.
This is just the agenda I'm taking.
It's just the agenda? Okay, so there's no written agreement with respect to this approval?
Not
and-
on this one, agreement, no. This is
Okay.
just us.
So we're okay without having a memo
Well, we're
of understanding?
The MOU is already in place for the thing, but I think this is our dirt. We're just trying to find a place to put our
Okay.
dirt.
All right,
So we're
I just
making-
didn't know if we,
Yeah.
The
I saw you
municipal
waving
exception
some
is,
papers, so I didn't.
it's to the grading
Yeah,
ordinance.
okay, that's fine. All right.
Yeah, this is an exemption from the grading ordinance so that we can.
Correct.
Okay.
Rinse.
That was a discussion I needed before the vote. Thank you, Gary. All right, this time, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item F5, discuss the possible appointment of an interim planning commissioner member to serve a 4-year term. So planning and zoning, so obviously Stacy is resigned and we're replacing Stacy. We were going to move one of our members up. I know Harrison, Angela, yeah, I was brain dead for a second. Angela Harrison would like to move up. I believe that's how we've done this in the past. I know she has a letter in saying she would like that position. So I would love that just to happen. I mean,
She's
she's
the
been
next
our
alternate in
yeah.
place.
And Tylee Olson.
And how we did it last time.
Perkins, sorry. Yeah, I'm losing my mind here. Ty has resigned. He's our other alternate. He's also resigned. So
Okay.
we're
Well,
without,
she's the only one that can move.
she's the only one that can move up. So at this point, we're going to move her up to that position. Yeah. Anyways. That makes sense? Sure. Not clear as mud? Yep. So.
So we're going to
that's-
appoint her to the 4-year
Yeah.
term?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So pretty easy. Are we okay with that? We just get that, I guess, a motion to move to approve.
Need a motion on that one?
It says discuss a possible appointment. So she's already been appointed as alternate. Now she's just gonna move her.
Do we need any different language or just want to?
I don't remember if we vote on those or not.
I think
Well, yeah,
We do?
in
Okay.
terms of an appointment, you, with the advice and consent of the council.
Right.
Will recommend the mayor makes the appointment, and then the planning commission will then
They'll,
internally
because she's already been appointed to the planning commission as an alternate.
alternate,
But I
right?
guess we could appoint her to the planning commission instead of an alternate. I guess.
That's what she'd be a planning commission member, and then the planning commission would vote on their president and pro tem.
right.
And it would leave for later action by the city council to fill the 2 vacancies for the alternate positions.
Right, which our next item, but
So it says on the agenda, that it's an interim.
it says interim and I'm not sure.
Interim just means it's a replacement of a current term.
Okay. Fills in the
It's not
term
a-
that was already
It's not a
there.
Still
4-year?
the same, it's still the
Oh,
same
because it was a
order.
4-year originally.
Correct, yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
replacement of that term.
I'm glad you're keeping track of them.
Okay, so Angela Harrison.
So do we need to make a motion on that then? Just a point or two?
Just for the advice and consent, the council will vote on that and then the mayor can
Okay.
act on the vote.
I'd make a motion to put Angela Harrison as the planning commission member for the vacancy.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Item F6, discuss the possible appointment of a planning commission alternate for the calendar year 2024. Lonnie Christensen, I've talked to him several times and he said he would be more than happy to help us on the planning and zoning commission. Lonnie is here tonight. If anybody would like to speak to him, ask him any questions. So that's my recommendation, to put Lonnie on there for now. I'm actively looking for someone else. And if anybody has any suggestions, please bring them to me. So you want to talk to Lonnie? Everybody knows Lonnie. Wayne, do you know Lonnie?
Got about 50 questions. No, I'm just
Got
kidding.
one
I
question. Are you
don't I don't have any questions.
I think Lonnie did a great job.
Yeah, me too.
Does Lonnie have any questions?
I don't care.
It all tastes the same.
It's a volunteer, yeah.
Yes. All right, so I just need a motion.
I move that we go ahead and move forward with Lonnie
Christensen.
Christensen as the alternate planning commission.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item F7, discuss the possible action on resolution 2024, modifying the Tocqueville City Planning Commission annual meeting schedule to meet once a month. Val, you guys decided you want to do once a month again?
Yes, we did. We decided that if we get busier, we will call an additional meeting.
Okay,
If there is a need, we are not opposed to doing that.
okay. What do you guys think?
That's up to you guys. I'm
Yeah,
fine with it. I'm fine with it either way, whatever. whatever.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, if you guys come back in 2 months and say we're going to go to 2 meetings, I'm fine with that too.
Okay.
Whatever we can do to support it.
Yep.
Mayor, make a motion to approve business item number 7.
Second it.
Have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item F8, discuss the possible action on a final plat application submitted by Firelight Development Incorporated for Sun River Firelight Phase 2, tax ID T128PB1.
On this one, I'll just give you a little bit of background on this is we went through and did the preliminary plat for phases 1 and 2 when they initially came through. Then they did construction plans for phases 1 and 2 and the offsite sewer. There's a few offsite improvements that they had to do, and that all went through the process of the Joint Utility Committee signatures, the reviews of the engineers, the surveys, and different things such as that. As you can see, and then they also came through for phase 1. I believe they just thought that they would do just phase 1 at first, but they are also going to need to record phase 2. So the final plat, they came through already through that and did the entire process for phase 1. I have both Mylars in my office that is signed by the city engineer of the final plats, phase 1 and phase 2. They have already gone through all that. They've got everything in place. Actually, they're out there paving right now on phase 1 and 2, putting those improvements in. And so they're getting closer. Obviously, those plats will not be recorded and lots will not be sold until the improvements are in and all the utilities are active and live. So this is the process of going through that. In your package, you have staff comments, you have the agenda item sheet, you have all of the required documents that are there. There are a few things such as soils reports and things that in our ordinance it calls for. And in the report that Riker actually created that report, very thorough. Basically, he made a comment in there that some of the things that are required and needed are actually required and needed at preliminary plat as well as construction drawings. We have that information if you guys want to see that.
You're good with it though?
It
The way
is-
it sits is.
It is a
we're-
complete plat. Like I said, everything, it's gone through every checks. We will have to have the attorney will need to review at the final. Yeah, basically, like I said, the city surveyor, engineer has signed the plat. The last person that kind of looks at that before it gets recorded is the attorney to make sure. And when Heath Snow would do these in the past, he just had a checklist that he went through to verify all the signatures, the different things that he had to do. And if there was anything lacking there, usually the developer was able to get them that information.
Okay.
There's really no recommendations on the staff comments. I think it just,
It's complete.
We don't really do a recommendation of approval or denial. That's up to you guys. We just let you know that the process has been completed.
Done.
We've gone through, all the boxes are checked. If there's any questions you guys might have for me, definitely ask them now.
Most of the time, all the recommendations are at the preliminary stage for
Before.
instead of
there were no
final because they've already
recommendations
been
that I saw on the
completed.
staff.
And like I say, there is no public hearings at this point because you guys have already done the public hearings at the preliminary plat stage.
Yep.
You've done all of those things.
Just all the work's done. This is a formality at the end.
This really is a formality.
It was
of it.
5-0 vote from the planning commission.
Okay. Thank you, Darren. I need a motion is all.
I'll make a motion. We approve business item F8, final plat application submitted by Firelight Development.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move on to item F9, discuss the possible action on ordinance 2024, modifying the Tocqueville City Code to clarify the business license process.
This was submitted by Emily in licensing and permitting. And this one is to include, and she just put on the background sheet, that this is to account for staff time, reviewing and approving denying business license applications. The license fee will now be listed as a license application fee. This helps clarify that although the application fee has been paid, the license is not guaranteed. Also, removing from 3-1-6C, annual license fee shall be refunded only by reason of a denial by the license officer of the initial application or renewal application. Since the fee is for the application and not for the license, no refund will be issued if it's denied. So what it's changing is saying that before it was saying that if the license was not given, that there would be a refund, but it's an application fee, not an approval fee. So there's not, so anyways, that clarifies that, and then it just moves that renewal down to the license renewal section.
So is there an application that needs to be filled out for a standard renewal?
Yeah, it's on city review.
And they email that out every time. It's
Yeah.
45 days prior, they email it out.
Yeah, it's
Super
really
simple.
easy.
It's all online. Yeah,
I could even do it.
I did mine twice.
yeah, it's pretty.
Not at the same time. I did it twice, 2 different years.
2 different years?
The only thing it's really clarifying is just that this is an application fee. This is
Yeah, it's not-
an approval fee.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? I'd make a motion to approve business item F9 for the modifying of the Tocqueville City Code to clarify the business license process.
I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We're on to item F10, discussing possible action of ordinance 2024, modifying the Tocqueville City Code to establish a purpose for backflow and cross connections and to modify the requirements for backflow preventer assemblies.
So this one is just to bring we started a backflow prevention cross connection program. It's a requirement And this just puts, if you go, guys, if you want to go back, all this one does right here, we worked on it actually for a long time. We have this in place now, so we can become compliant. Very few cities in Utah actually are. We've got Gage down as, he's cross connection certified. And so what this one does is brings it into compliance with rural water.
Yeah, the new state codes, yeah.
So it's not just the codes. It's not, so.
Do,
We have
Oh,
one
sorry.
that did match. We actually received this from the state.
I didn't read all of this, but do we have a separate thing that identifies which preventer or that we require?
No, we actually have, we have a list of them that we've sent out that we say, hey, here are some ideas. They just have to get one that complies, and that's on them. But they have a separate, they have to have a separate inspector that they work with. They go out to the third party and they work with the third party to make sure that it's compliant. So the city doesn't, and they just submit the letter to the city that says, when their
It's
inspector
done.
says, hey, we're compliant. So we're not saying you have to put this and this, and that's between them and their inspector that says that they're compliant.
So you're basically saying that you got to meet the state code?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, because they're pretty strict on which ones you can and can't use.
Yeah, so we're not telling them what brand they have to go get. Their suggestions, like you say, hey, these are some suggestions from the city. and-
Hurricane City says, like they label it out, this is the part number basically, so.
Yeah. And Gage has had some people contact him, and he's worked with them, to say these are what other people are using, but
Afton, this is new construction only?
no.
No.
This is-
No,
The most important part is that a backflow preventer shall not go on your irrigation.
No.
So if you have an irrigation line, you don't put this on your irrigation line. A lot of people, what they do is the irrigation gets shut off in, let's say
November.
October, whatever, November. And then they go over and they twist a valve and they put their culinary water through the irrigation line. Well, that cross connection is not good because you get glue or whatever back feeding into the line. They had it happen in Tokerville where the swimming pool came in and filled the irrigation water, killed the guy's field. Like that's the whole point of not having a cross connection. But the backflow preventer is separate in the drinking water portion of it so that you don't get contamination in the drinking water. So if your neighbor doesn't have a backflow preventer, and he does something where it could
Sucks
contaminate your drinking water.
irrigation water back into the drinking supply. So-
Or even contaminated drinking water.
Right.
So that's what it's for, is if you're landscaping, if you're using culinary
Both.
water for landscaping, that's the difference.
Okay. So is there a mechanism for making sure our residents are,
In compliance?
yeah,
You don't
or are we
Yeah,
just,
there's actually a software program that we're using that says that they have to send in their letter that says that they're compliant. Engage double checks it, puts it into the software.
but that's with new construction, right?
It's everybody, we're going back to the whole city and anybody that's required to have one.
So, okay.
Not everybody has to have one.
What Todd's saying is, how do you know if somebody's doing it?
Right.
And they're not,
It's
not
it's actually
fixing it.
simple, is if they don't have irrigation
Yeah.
water and they have landscaping, you need a backflow.
You gotta have one, like a pool.
And/or pools, yeah,
Pools.
pools or landscaping.
Right. So you are sending letters out to all these people and,
Yeah, we
and,
notified them, they got letters, they've had
Okay.
electronic communication, we put up. their,
and then they're supposed to,
billing.
they're supposed to respond to the city with
Yeah,
that
just
that
say, hey, your
says,
property has been identified as a property that requires backflow and cross connection compliance.
please.
Please contact the city and we'll help walk you through that process. They actually can do it all online. You say, or visit the city website and they can log right on there and make sure that they're compliant. Do you have this? Upload your letter from the third party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically,
Okay.
where like I live on Lower Street, the irrigation pressure is higher than the culinary, so it can just force its way back
Right,
in
yeah.
if you had a cross connection.
Yeah.
That's what the double check is for.
Yeah.
Well, you
So,
shouldn't,
yeah,
you
they're
shouldn't
actually
have,
going out and
you shouldn't have a
doing it.
cross connection,
It's
period.
been going really well.
No, that's what they're
Everything-
saying.
out there.
Residents.
Yeah, it
have been
is.
doing
Okay.
So that's not what it is.
I don't have,
We haven't had any issues.
That was a guilty look.
not from me.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions on this backflow preventer assembly? And all we're doing is modifying the ordinance to mimic the state ordinance, state code, so. Mandy, you got something?
I have a vague memory that a year or so ago, the city went through and installed backflow. Is that
No, we
Those
did
were meters.
new meters.
Those are water meters.
Yeah.
These are different. These make sure that the dirty water doesn't get back into the system. But yes, you are correct. We did go through the city and do those.
I think, Manny, we did talk about
We did. We talked about
backflow in the
backflow.
past.
Yeah.
This is just a matter of making sure it meshes with state code.
Yeah, our ordinance just need to match the state. We already had the ordinance. We're just making our ordinance mimic the state ordinance. So,
So your memory is correct.
yeah. I see a motion.
So I'll make a motion that we approve business item number 10, modifying Tocqueville City Code to establish purpose for backflow and cross connections and modify the requirements for backflow preventer assemblies.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item 11. Discuss the possible action on policy 2024, permanent erosion control maintenance policy to establish standard and requirements for grading permits under Tocqueville City Code 10-18B. Darren, this is for you.
So Riker and I worked together to get this policy put together. And this is in essence one of the requirements of the grading permit. This grader defines, as we have had discussions in city council, basically gives me as a staff member a big, good checklist to be able to make sure that they have a proper permanent erosion control plan put together that at the end. One thing that we did do, the edits that you see are from the attorney, and basically this is what's came from him. There was some very good input. And this was created by myself and Riker. Riker mostly, I'm not going to take all the credit. He did a great job, I feel, at putting this together. It's as we've had the opportunity to do a couple of different grading permit applications that have come in. I wish we would have had it in place, but not necessarily this one, because this is going to become after a project is sitting there for years or a year plus. And in a finished state. So, and then I really like number 9. The item there is the additional information reasonably deemed necessary by the zoning administrator or city designee. My use.
In and out.
Voice.
Yeah. Speak up. Okay,
Right.
you're good, Darren. Okay, questions? Wayne, this is up your alley. What do we got? Does it read pretty good? This permanent erosion control, this is what we're pushing.
Is this tied to the grading plan?
The grading ordinance, this is a requirement. This is basically one element of the
grading
of the documents that we require.
It's just a
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah, this is just a policy that helps us to, it's almost like a checklist to that one element. We just felt like, you guys felt as well, that we needed to have something that in place that would guide people as they submit their grading plans.
This is a supplement to the grading ordinance.
It is, but if you read right there at the top, it's the permanent erosion control plan. It basically addressing the final conditions of the site in accordance with the current maintenance policy. The purpose of this policy is to establish standards and requirements for the permanent erosion control plan and ongoing maintenance of the grading site.
And
Basically gives us and also there at the same time, we can, the code, it'll help us with code enforcement as well.
And not only that, this is a policy, Wayne, so if there's something not working, we can come in and change the policy much easier than going back and then changing an ordinance. So if we find something we need to add,
This is a policy.
yes, it's a policy.
Rides on the grading permit.
Exactly.
And the permanent erosion control plan is an element or a requirement to be submitted with the full overall, all the other documents that are required in the grading plan. Because there's engineered grading plans, there's soils reports, there's erosion control. There's also a drainage study that we require, a standalone drainage study, those types of things that are required. There's multiple documents that we require, just like we do when we do a final plat like tonight. In your package, you saw the multiple things that they're required to have for final plat approval. There's the same thing. We do that with the grading.
You guys did a great job.
I mean, it's pretty tight.
really
I like it.
It is.
We
It looks
talked about
good.
it
You
2
did.
months ago.
So it
It
looks
is.
good.
It's really
Now we
good.
got a policy, so.
So Darren, I have a question. On the grading ordinance, I knew we were making some changes that were a little more lenient for a resident rather than, new development and so on, or large areas. So we made some allowances for residential areas. Does this?
Would not, this is for your pads, this is for your finished pads that sit there for a while before they go forward. And we want to call it a mass grading pad. We've called them mass grading pads.
It doesn't touch the
Engineered
residents. then.
Pads is
Okay.
what they're
Yeah,
called.
but they're engineered grading pads.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
this does not apply
Long-term.
to a small backyard, somebody.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000 cubic yards is the delineation. Anything above that you're going to be moving requires the policy in place. Well, that you don't. And I realized on number 8, I left my thought incomplete. The idea with number 8 is to verify that the applicant, or if the applicant had obtained a grading permit before and then sold the property, but there's still that erosion plan that's still in place. Number 8 is just verifying that if there had been the applicant had received a prior grading plan, not necessarily tied to this same property, but if there's a grading plan that's been approved, that it's in compliance. And the idea is if they're not in compliant, then their current application would not be completed until the out of compliance property is fixed.
We need any verbiage to that for you? That you?
Yeah, I would add something to the effect that goes along the lines of verification that applicant or a successor in interest is in compliance with any previously issued grading permit.
That's something small enough we can just add this evening.
Yeah. This is a policy issue.
Yeah,
It's consistent
Not
with,
an ordinance, so we can.
consistent with the grading ordinance.
Okay.
And then number 7 was thrown in with some of the issues that have come up, and making sure there's other jurisdictions that have
Right.
requirements, approvals, that those are being obtained as well.
Yeah, with
That's
FEMA
good.
lately, we need to make sure we're.
I think that's pretty good data in there at this point in time.
Remind me, policies still come before the council for changes?
It can. Usually it's the recommendation of staff, getting the input here. And there was a discussion last week with the planning commission about the grading ordinance, whether to take some of these topics that are in the policy and actually implement them into the ordinance. And we just said, what do you feel as a planning commission? Do you want to make the ordinance tighter and more requirements? And the feedback was, let's keep it in the policy. That way we have the flexibility if there's something that needs to be fixed. Like the mayor said, it's a lot easier to pivot and address it rather than going through the legislative act to amend an ordinance.
How does it work if the land is sold? Who inherits the perpetual maintenance of that lot?
So that successor in interest would have that obligation under the permit that issued for the grading.
That's what
And
he's saying with number 8 is.
With number 8 is making sure that subsequent landowner has obligations to maintain the property, dust control.
Successor.
Can you state that again? Because I didn't write it down. I can't remember.
Oh, the magic language?
Well, we'll just use that. I'll reference the magic language.
Do you have
that
it, Daisy?
state.
Did you write it down?
Oh, you did?
I
You got it?
can ad lib it.
Oh, okay.
If I was to
Terry's
read
got
it, I bought the land, I wouldn't do it because it doesn't tie me to that. I'm trying to figure out where it ties me to be obligated
verbiage,
to keep the perpetual maintenance.
The verbiage that he added on the.
Number 8.
Verification
So
of
that's why I
application.
was asking it stated again is that, so what the verbiage that he says right now is what is going to be the modification to 8 to tell you that, which is.
In compliance with any previously issued grading permit.
There you go.
Right
So
there in there.
That kind of
That's
answers
what
the
he's saying.
question.
That's what he's saying to do.
That's going to be in the motion. That'll be in the motion to change that.
I got it. Perfect.
So I would go ahead and move that we approve business item number 11, permanent erosion control maintenance policy, with the revision to add to item 8 in that policy that we add to the sentence in compliance with the previously issued grading permit.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item F12, discuss the possible action on authorizing the circulation of a RFP for in-house legal counsel for Douglas City.
That folder is empty, so
I can comment on that.
Yeah, this one is on there. We've talked about this before, just looking at budgeting issues, and then Matt is.
Yeah.
He'd like to spend more time with his family.
Yeah, so when we were having the budget discussion last time, I was looking the amount of where the city was at in actual expenditures, comparing to that in terms of market where an attorney can be hired full-time. So we'd get more bandwidth from the legal counsel and have that in-house here. So I at least brought it up, and at the same time, I was thinking about where family time and evening demands are. It would be helpful for my family to make an adjustment. It's not immediate. It doesn't have to happen right away. So with the budget conversation coming up and putting it out there, it was my recommendation, it'd be in the best interest of the city to look at that, to pivot from outside counsel to have somebody in-house full-time. There still I would anticipate a need for litigation issues, but for a lot of the day-to-day business items, contracts, I think the city could be benefiting from taking the same or a similar budget and getting more bandwidth with time and attention.
If you remember, East Snow made that same
Yep.
recommendation. We asked for this in last year's budget prior to Matt coming on. But like Tokerville is growing, our legal questions that we are asking, and that if we feel like if we could get somebody in-house, that we had an actual salary where that's set.
It's set. We know what the cost is going to be.
So the request is that we would circulate an RFP for in-house legal counsel, see who responds, conduct interviews very similar to how we got our prosecutor, and
Yep.
same process we're doing for health authority, so we think that's
Can we submit an RFP for both?
for.
For in-house and what is the term that yours is?
They should be different. They should
Can we
be separate
submit
attorneys.
two RFPs then? Just so we can do some real serious cost analysis?
You submit one, you circulate one or the other. We circulated an RFP when we hired Matt, so we still have those.
How do you
So you'll
state
be
that?
able to-
What is Matt's not in-house, but a contract?
He's contract.
Contracted counsel.
That was that we submitted an RFP for a city attorney. This is for in-house legal counsel, so we have all of those from that. and all that.
So don't laugh when I ask this question. There's enough work to keep a full-time attorney busy. No laughing. There's plenty of work.
We
Well-
spent last year, just in transparency, we haven't processed the final invoices for June, but we spent $192,000 on legal. So I think we could probably hire somebody
That
for that,
That would include benefits and everything?
right?
We would not exceed that. I honestly think some of the time that we've had a lot of complaints about things drag out for months and months and months. It goes from planning and zoning to attorneys and then back to planning and zoning and back to attorneys. And then it comes to city council and back to attorneys. If we had someone in-house, I think that would go from one to the next. We could have everything done. We would never be waiting on an attorney. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I remember when Darren and I spoke a little bit and how nice it was for Darren when he worked at Hurricane to walk to the next office
down
and
the
hey,
hall.
what's the answer to this? So,
Get an answer, get
Right.
an opinion, so there's some pros and cons to everything, but this is just something, I feel that we're spending the money now. If we had someone in-house, we might speed everything up and get answers just in a more timely manner. So,
And I think that example is really helpful. We have our weekly staff meetings, we cover topics. But there's questions that come up, whether a phone call, email, but just be able to walk down the hall and ask that question, get some information. It will speed things up in terms of administration and what the staff needs with its resources and making decisions, no doubt about it.
I'm a little concerned if we send this RFP out, how many applicants that we might have apply for it. I don't think you would. Is that correct, Matt?
For in-house,
Yeah.
I'm not looking to go in-house.
And if you're looking at $190,000, including benefits,
We're not going to put it out for that. That's just
No.
what we spent last year.
We're going to put out.
So are we looking at more money than that?
No, less.
No, we're anticipating that the cost of legal will go down if they're in-house because we're not going to St. George. They're not driving, you know what I mean? Back and forth. They're not spending so much time on emails back and forth on questions.
Would it hurt to run two RFPs, one for contract and one for
We
in-house?
asked that question. This is what we went through with East Snow. We asked that question, should we do that? Typically, and the attorneys that we've asked, typically they do not circulate both of those at the same time. People are not going to apply for both. We've already circulated one for contract. We do have those. We could reach back out to them. But the request is that we move to in-house legal.
I heard just a suggestion is we, in-house counsel, we review, we get RFP out there, we get applications, we look at them, and we talk to them, see where we're at, and if we don't like it,
Well, I would just like to
You know.
point this out. The purpose of in-house legal is then they work for you and we're done with the conflict situations.
there's no more
What happens is that
conflicts.
when we have an attorney that we have on contract, they have other clients. We're not their sole client. So they end up with other clients, whether it's another engineering firm, whether it's another city, whether it's a district, we end up with, or a developer, we end up with conflicts. So then we end up hiring conflict counsel. And so even though that when there is a conflict, whoever that attorney is will be paid for by whoever has the conflict. Let's say it's a district. Let's say we had a conflict with Ash Creek, just for an example. And so if our attorney also has a conflict with Ash Creek, when they are working here and they're here on behalf of Ash Creek, they're working for Ash Creek, so we've got to hire somebody to work on our behalf, or the opposite. So you're still paying only one attorney, but when that issue overlaps and it affects both of us, we have the potential to be billed for both. An ordinance would be an example of that. We
But
have our attorney look at it, they have their attorney look at it, and it goes back and forth, so it drives up the cost. With in-house legal, they don't work for other clients, they only work for Toberville.
so, maybe Matt can answer this better. So if we hire an attorney that previously worked for somebody that could potentially have a conflict because they work for somebody that dealt with the city, how would that work? Or is that no longer a conflict because now they work for the city?
Yeah, once they become a city employee, there's no risk of actual conflict. Now, you want to be mindful that there's knowledge from a prior client that has come in, may be adverse. From an ethical standpoint, the attorney may have to wall off or create a barrier so there's no information that former private attorney, now in-house counsel, would share, put out there. But that would be very, very unlikely. It does happen on occasion, but unlikely that it would happen. Yeah, once you have an in-house counsel, there's one client only. That's the city. So running the risk of, well, we've got litigation with the Conservancy District or Ash Creek, and you've got to go out and get conflict counsel. Conflict counsel wouldn't be necessary. The city may decide we want to retain litigation counsel for that specific purpose, but that would be a call that the city and the in-house attorney would make on that. Generally speaking, in-house counsel does source out litigation, and it can be somebody local. There's firms that are, say, in Salt Lake, that's all they do is do litigation work for municipalities. That's kind of their bread and butter. But I would not anticipate any real meaningful way that there'd be a conflict of an attorney coming in and working. And from my standpoint, if it's, hey, let's test the waters and see what kind of interest there is out there with in-house counsel and it doesn't work, I'm fine. I can keep continuing and then you guys can evaluate what works for the city the best at that point. If there's idea of let's see what other contract counsels out there, interest versus in-house. I think there would be a lot of candidates that would be interested in it. I don't know in terms of qualifications. It's just a tight labor market right now in terms of having high volume of applicants, but even with low volume, generally speaking, there's good applicants out there.
I just feel like if we use up all that budget, we have a large percentage of our legal fees that are related to litigation too. So we need to take into consideration that if we're going to spend that money on just in-house municipal law, then the extra money is going to have to be found to deal with litigation that we currently have or any possible ongoing litigation. So let's take that into consideration when we're looking at anything that comes back to us from the applications that are responded to. And
Right, the request is that first we would attempt in-house legal to avoid conflicts, like I mentioned, and also to put a cap on the budget, right, because they become salaried employees. But if you don't like any of the applicants or don't feel like they meet the needs, then you can always circulate an RFP.
For a contract.
For a contract.
Yeah, if Matt will stick
We've
around.
done contract, we've done contract, we've done contract. This is the third request to go with an in-house legal, so.
The research I did looks like, and it's just Google and a couple other articles I read. It looks like most attorneys coming right out of law school are jumping in between 160 to 200, closer to the 200 side without or with perks and things like that.
We discussed this with the prosecutor that we just hired, with Jerry. Discussed this the other day with him as well, after Matt just asked me if he had a copy of an RFP for in-house legal. When we discussed that, he said that they're coming out of, a lot of these firms during COVID came in up north, and they are picking up people right out of law school at 200.
Mhm.
He said that they are having an incredibly difficult time hiring at Washington County.
And the thing
prosecutor's office.
with hiring right out of law school is you have no work history.
But what we're
So-
hoping is that maybe someone from another municipality that's been like a junior attorney or an assistant, that they'll want to come over and have the title of city attorney. So it'll be a really good blend of background, education.
Yeah, the ideal candidates would be somebody that's more of a deputy position, whether it's here locally or even somebody that's been working, say, other parts of the state and they're looking to retire and their transition plan is maybe a 5 to 10 year window. And it's like, hey, I can advance my retirement plans, come in and work for that 5 to 10 year window. And you'd get a great skill set for somebody that's saying, hey, I may not make pay up at Salt Lake, but the pay's good enough, it works for me, and it meets some objectives. And I've talked with Afton, there are listservs, organizations where that could be circulated and get statewide. Hopefully mayors don't get mad that you'd be looking to poach somebody from their staff, but.
It happens.
There's a job bank through the Utah League of Cities and Towns that we can post it on. It'll be statewide.
I would anticipate you could get some pretty competitive applicants, say in the 120 to 150 range from salary. What you're talking about there, you're looking at some pretty big firms in terms of compensation, municipal work or county prosecutor. The counties had to make some adjustments on hiring just to get people interested. But you'll still, in my estimation, that range 120 to 150, you'll draw interest that will match the qualifications you're looking for.
Yes.
I move that we authorize the circulation of an RFP for an in-house legal counsel for the city of Tokerville.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any further discussion on this item?
I think we're premature here. In our current situation, I think we're premature. That's just my thoughts.
If
We're growing exponentially too fast.
Well, you can't stop the growth.
No, we're growing exponentially fast with everything we're doing and hiring. And all
You're
this.
right. And
I
the
think
reason is because.
This is a hasty decision, I think.
Well,
I don't want to waste people's
It's
time with
not
an
hasty.
RFP.
Wayne, what would you like to do for an attorney, understanding that Matt is leaving? What would you like the city to do for an attorney?
Well, I've had all of 5 minutes to look at this. So I haven't quite decided, but I just think we're trying to jump through a hoop that we're not,
Well, that's
we're going
why,
to put out the RFPs and then we're going to decide, well, we don't want to do that. And you waste a lot of people's time and effort. And
that's
I'm not sure
that's
that's
how we find the right fit. We're gonna have to, whether we do an RFP for in-house, and if we don't find someone we like for the price, then we do an RFP for contract. I don't know how else to approach this. I mean, we can kick it down the road for 6 months, but then again, we're kicking stuff down the road for 6 months. You know, we need to, this is the kind of thing it's not a life or death situation. We need an attorney, we need an attorney. You know, how do you want to proceed? Do you want to go right back to contract, or do you want to try to see if we can find somebody in-house?
Personally, if I had my choice right now, I'd like to go back to contract for a short time.
Well, that's there, that, and I see what you're saying.
We have that accessible to us.
But I just don't like short-term. If we could find an attorney that would, if we could find it, that's why I would like to do an in-house RFP. Maybe we can find that perfect fit that'll last for years and years and years. We won't have to keep flopping attorneys. But then we can have some background. They can understand the city. We can grow with, and they can grow with us. So that's my opinion on it. And if we don't find that person, then we go back to contract. Matt said he'll stay until we can find someone. But, you know, I think we need to start somewhere.
The little bit of discussion I have is if, regardless of which RFP goes out, I would like the chance, on the last one, I'm not saying it was incorrect or done wrong or the wrong selection. I would like a chance to look at all the applicants and then maybe add some questions myself for whoever's asking the questions. And also I'd like to see what the questions were asked at the last time, you know, so that we have a little bit more involvement on if it's a long-term employee for the city that we, you know.
No, you could be on the board. You can be on the board and ask questions.
I think the whole council should be able to have that same portion of not just be on the board, but.
You're talking about the prosecuting
The higher,
attorney?
no,
I'm just talking about the next one. If because we're making a big decision for the city. I would like to have a little bit more of the city council involvement, maybe not just me.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
but you reference,
Just so the public understands, so the panel that interviewed for our prosecutor, the last attorney that we hired, Matt was brought over from conflict counsel to that, but the last one had an interview panel for all candidates. We had on that, there was the mayor, there was me, there was Darren, there was a member of the sheriff's office, there was Matt as the city attorney, and then
Jason.
and then Jason Levitt as the public safety director. Every applicant was asked the same two questions by the same two people, so it was like I asked the same two questions of the applicants, Darren asked the same two questions. There were, I think like 12 or
12
14
questions,
very in depth what your experience was. I mean, you guys were there, you asked the questions, you can chime in, but.
Yeah, it was a good process, and that's.
Well, maybe even just
It was-
to know the answer, the questions and the answers. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what the questions and the answers were either.
Well, because the panel made a recommendation to the council, and then the council put in the prosecutors, how that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we're making a bigger decision here.
The panel
for-
doesn't necessarily, well, the panel doesn't work with the new attorney. The city council
City council,
interacts with
yeah.
the new attorney the most, so I
Well,
think we should have.
I would say staff interacts with the attorney more than the city council, but, you know, that's just, I mean, I don't talk to the attorney near as much as.
The purpose of having Jason Levitt on that and the sheriff's office is because we work with them and they're gonna be using.
The prosecutor.
The prosecutor.
They're a prosecutor.
They're working
So where
Well,
this is
I
civil,
understand.
if you would like to replace those two, if you'd like to replace Jason Levitt.
I'm not asking to replace
That
anyone.
was with
No, well, no,
council,
no, on
that
the,
might be really, no, I'm just saying that might be a good idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Members of council.
yeah,
That one, I'm not sure how that would work from the quorum.
well,
So
if you had
got
two
of the mayors,
mayor and the
then
mayor,
three of you on
yeah,
council.
that
We
we,
have two of the mayor.
yeah, if we were
So
hiring.
replace Jason Levitt.
The questions I want to ask are not, they're like, when you look at resume,
Right.
you look at 50 resumes, like, when you know, you go through and you're like, okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask this person. Like directly, right? So that's the questions I'm referring to. I'm not
Well,
worried-
the thing with
not worried about
those is
the
you
panel.
pretty much have to ask the same
Yeah, you have to
question.
standardize it.
Yeah, you do have to stay.
Well, I mean,
But we
it's-
can,
Work history or something.
Specifically to.
oh
that
yeah,
individual.
those were all,
Yeah,
those are
that's-
questions.
yeah.
So if we do this on the RFP, I would not use the same panels we have. The sheriff doesn't need to be there. Jason doesn't need to be there. We need to have city council there, two members of city council, so it's not a public meeting. The mayor, the city manager, Darren, our attorney that we have now, you know, that's the kind of a panel I would like to see.
Yeah, it's a very formal
Yeah,
process. It's
I know.
not.
I'm saying.
That process.
We did that on the last one.
No, because it was
We hired-
prosecuting. I
Yeah,
don't-
this was but
We
was it
hired Jason, we didn't have any.
Jason Levitt?
Yeah.
Oh, that was staff.
Oh,
That's,
the prosecutor guy that.
we did. I was there. We had Jason there. This is the prosecutor. We, as a city council, will not be dealing with the prosecuting attorney. We let the people who are dealing with the prosecuting attorney. the sheriff, our code enforcement, we had Darren, we had Afton, we had our attorney, and we had me. So the city council is not gonna, you're not gonna deal with the prosecuting attorney. So we didn't
I didn't
ask.
think there was anything wrong. I just know that there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the city and the staff have to do that exclude us. You know, we're not gonna, every little thing they're doing, we're not gonna control them. You know, that's where it comes to staff is staff and we're legislative. You know, the staff gets to run staff the way the staff is run. And if they need to hire a prosecutor, that's why we had staff do that. So, that makes sense?
Acting has a little more no would have been nice.
I do agree that 2 members of that panel should be replaced by 2 members of council.
Absolutely.
And if we have.
You
don't have to agree.
Resumes
That was your
and the
idea.
applications prior to the panel.
Yeah,
But,
they do.
then
They
we could-
submit them.
yeah,
They
the
submit
city-
them, they're
they sit-
circulated,
The
we
city
have it
council could
electronically
meet
printed.
or submit the questions to.
Absolutely.
You to ask. her.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep,
Not saying
absolutely.
anything was wrong.
No, exactly. I just want, you know.
Just so you know that was also a points type of a
It
scenario.
was, and everybody,
It wasn't like asking, oh, what do you feel about that? It was everybody did it on how that individual
Exactly.
answered those questions.
yeah,
Exactly.
1 to 5 on every question, you get a score. And then anyways, it's a really nice way to go through that. But anyways, so we have a motion and a second. So now we're back to the motion. Do we circulate an RFP for in-house legal counsel? So motion second been made, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't want to do it.
Say nay.
You can say nay, it's already passed.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword for me. I'm not ready to make the move into full-time. So it's nay.
Okay. All right, item
So motion
F13.
passed 3-2.
Motion passed, 3-2. Item F13, discuss the possible action on MOU from Farley Development requesting vertical construction prior to Tocqueville Parkway completion. Scott, you want to come up? Or Clark, which one of you?
Make them both speak at the same time.
Scott, I don't know why you're always last on the agenda. I apologize. 'Cause it's-
We like seeing them in the back of the row.
I'd like to see y'all kind of worn out a little bit.
We want you to know
I think
everything
it
that's
works to
going
my
on.
advantage, but-
So what did we come up with fire department?
So we submitted an MOU. I didn't bring it with. Oh, the fire department? The MOU is written so that is done separately.
Okay,
So we're just seeking the city council's approval to begin those homes that we listed on that. Did any of you get a chance to look at that draft?
We did. I did anyway.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
And it pretty much reflected, I think it exactly reflected our conversation the other night. So there shouldn't be anything that was added or not, but I want to add something right now. So the construction schedule has gotten messed up a little bit. And I just learned that this
This
week.
one for everybody or?
I do have one for everybody, and but I'll just.
Yes.
I'm requesting permission to start one lot, our parade house specifically.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Yes, and that's been the impetus to get the parade and the models, so like the MOU asks for
It says up to 10.
up to 10. But we have one that is the highest pressure and we need to start in August. And in August, we probably won't have the phase inspected and recorded. And that was the baseline before, that we would have everything inspected and recorded. And then we would have permission to have access for our contractors, and we wouldn't have power or water in place yet. So what we're adding is we would like to start one lot before we record. We can do an individual inspection.
You
for
weren't
this
going to
lot.
have power and water there anyway. You're just
No.
doing a fire suppression, right?
Yes, and again, that's something that we're working out
Yeah.
individually with Hurricane, but we need, permission for one lot to be inspected and approved and to allow us to proceed without recording, which is different than what I requested before.
Right.
But I'm not going to ask for all 10 of those.
just one item.
Just one.
Number 4.
Darren, go ahead.
Was that you're just asking, so that recording of that plat, this will still stay in your guys's, your ownership.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
fine. That's, there's no
100%.
problem
Even when it
there.
records, it won't change ownership. It'll still be Firelight Development Inc. And we still want to go forward with the MOU, but the rest of that 9, the 9 remaining lots, we would have to record and be fully inspected and the phase fully finished.
They won't be able to sell anything until it's recorded.
And that's in the MOU.
Right.
Yeah. No,
Right.
no sales, no COs.
Yeah.
None of that can happen until the parkway's open and our utilities are in place.
What would you anticipate not being completed come August when you have to work on lot 4?
The
According to the final.
the pavement might not be in. And some of the lots on the interior of the phase might not be fully graded yet because some of the dirt that's coming from the Hogsback, and this is where the delay has come in. Some of that dirt is going to finish the phases. So
Yeah, you don't have to you don't have to cut down the hill to fill them in if you got dirt
Yeah.
coming from the
So
hospital.
there's some of that coming out there. So, the contractors were telling me that they were still going to be done at the beginning of August. And now they're, now that everything got pushed back more and they're looking at schedules harder and they're starting the drill, starting that whole process, they've seen it's going to be at least 6 more weeks.
Okay.
That's the only change from what we discussed the other day. But if you need any refreshers, or Matt's probably familiar with it as well as I think the city manager and Darren.
You guys drafted it and you reviewed it, right?
So it was prepared by Firelight. I reviewed it, submitted comments to staff. One question I had is, and this isn't binding, but in terms of just keeping everybody informed, the projection delivery date of power from Rocky Mountain Power, what's the latest you've heard?
They will not commit to a firm number, but we did get good news a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember if it was before I spoke to you guys last, but they got partial delivery of equipment, but they will not tell me when. They don't know when they're going to get the rest of the stuff, but they are a lot more optimistic. Rustin Jensen, if any of you work with him, he was a lot more upbeat when he got that last delivery. So he thinks that'll be September-ish.
But I mean, the power's got to be in the water before the parade, correct?
Yes, and that will not be a problem.
Okay.
And if it's not, we won't be able to present.
Yeah, they won't be in the parade if they
I
don't have that.
I figured that, but I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
asking a dumb question.
We really think all of this is buying us just the few months that gets us into the fall when everything's done,
Okay. And then I
including the parkways open and everything.
had a question on H on the last page, the dispute resolution, the part about the right to recover from the losing party all costs and attorney fees.
I think that's probably typical language.
Yeah, the
I
default
couldn't
language
tell you.
is each side pays their own way unless there's a contract provision that provides otherwise. So this one would be a standard prevailing party attorney's fees clause.
So do we want that or do we not want that?
Yeah, the other one is if there is a dispute, you'd pull it out and each side would just pay their own.
Okay, so what are some
Fees.
potential disputes that we might have to be worried about?
Well, we can't challenge anything because it's all in the contract. It's all in the agreement.
Yeah, at this point, potential disputes. So once this is signed and they start their construction and they're not stopped, the city has the control of stopping them or not stopping them. So as long as they're able to proceed, there's no reason that Firelight should have some concerns or questions. There is an indemnification, meaning hold harmless. So if there's construction activities going on, not only the city is going to be held harmless by Firelight, but as well as the third party JP Excavation. So if there's some kind of incident or accident that happens there, that's a potential scenario where the city's been harmed or JP's been harmed. And if Firelight chose not to honor that exposure liability, then litigation could proceed under that indemnification. That's the only thing I can come up with in terms of what are the risks if it could lead to a dispute.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Who drafted this?
We instructed,
You guys instructed.
we
Our
instructed
attorney did,
them to
and
do, or
it's
asked
been
them to.
modified.
And then you've reviewed this, right?
Yeah, my red lines are what you see in
Okay.
the online packet.
All
But
right.
the council instructed that Firelight prepare the initial draft.
So the indemnification, I guess I worry about the north end, because we have so many people coming in there, just different odds and ends, and I can't imagine them gates being closed all the time. Because they're construction, people can go in and out. So how are we protected if a car wants to come in there and get run over by a cement mixer or something like that?
It is
Is
open
he
all
indemnified?
day right now.
Are we completely in the clear?
If we indemnify,
So the city has two things. One is the contractual protections here. If there's some bad act or negligent act by Firelight that it should have done something but didn't, there's that protection as well. And then there's also the standard municipal indemnity because of a governing body that will always be in place regardless of this contract.
May I suggest, from looking at I can drive through there any time of the day I want. So I think there needs to be some strong language and some signs on both ends, so it can't be more of your due diligence, not so much JP's, to keep the people out of there. And the JP consent to construction easement, if something happens in there that you hold JP up, they're gonna back charge us.
they
That
already,
goes right back to the contract that I didn't like. So how do we get away from that?
that same language is the language that was in the agreement to allow the water tank contractor to use it. So it is exactly the same as an agreement that's already in place. So we just duplicated that format. We can put signs up, of course, but JP's already signed that in a previous MOU.
Yeah, and those signs work real well.
Well,
There's no signs.
Yeah.
Well, there's signs down below, and I saw this guy road biking, stopped, took a picture right by the boulder, and continued up the parkway on his road bike.
All that says is
So-
danger. I think you need,
You're saying strong language, it's not curse words, is it?
no,
Yeah.
it's like, get the heck out of here. Because somebody's gonna be
A lot of
responsible for something that
asterisks,
happens there, and I
maybe.
don't want it to be us. And I don't want it to be you, and I don't want to be Judd, but I don't want Judd coming back to me because there's so many people coming through there that he can't work, and then that comes back on us.
I understand that. I doubt very much that our home contractors would cause any more hardship to Judd, but I understand the exposure of people using that road.
It sounds like Judd's willing to make some
Yes.
work with you to get the people in there.
And I think people have been watching the scene out there ever since construction started. There's always been some looky-loos, but it's been to an acceptable level, apparently. I have not heard many complaints in the weekly meetings. Occasionally they'll talk about looky-loos, but it's really very rarely the subject of concern. So it just
I'm
hasn't
trying to
elevated.
look out for the city 100% here. and
100%.
don't want anything to bite us in the.
The state of the subdivision will need to be to a finished state. The curb, the gutter, the sidewalk,
I'm not too worried about that. I'm worried about the use, the public use of the bypass when it's
Yeah.
not open and we're running construction, everything up and down that, it's not open.
He's worried about people entering the parkway.
I get that.
And that's totally up to the developer and JP to sign that out to make sure that doesn't happen, because if I'm reading it right, we're indemnified from that. So if someone goes over there and gets killed because they're walking on that bypass, we don't have a problem.
There'd be contractual indemnity here as well as governmental immunity.
And we're not liable regardless unless it's something negligent the city has done. And
Is
we're
there
not.
something negligent we can do? We don't own that road, right? It's still a
It's
contractor's road.
our right of way. We own the right of way.
But I think the sign would be a prudent on that
We're only
access. to-
allowing construction access. We're not allowing public
Right.
access. So as long
Well,
as they
public's
have
gonna
no
sneak in.
trespassing, then.
So I'm just trying to
Well,
figure
as
out
long
a
as
way
you
to-
have no trespassing signs, then they're violating the trespassing sign
We
anyway.
don't have signs yet.
There was no trespassing.
I thought there's
Nothing on the north end. There's nothing.
north end. I thought there was something on the gate.
I
It's a
cannot,
gate. It's a
I
gate.
cannot
Well, there used to
picture
be a
any
sign
signs
hanging
right
there. There
now.
used to be a sign hanging on the middle of the gate, but we've had a few wins, so who knows where it ended up.
But you just agreed to take care of the
Yeah,
signage.
just put a couple
I
signs
can
up.
add some signage,
Yeah,
happily,
that's more for you and JP, but.
happily. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, any more discussion?
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve business item 13, the MOU for Firelight Development requesting vertical construction prior to the Tokerville Parkway completion. And if you guys can add the verbiage to allow Lot 4 to be done before or as requested from the applicant, I'd feel fine with that, or however else you want me to make a motion.
For August 1st for Lot 4.
To start construction on Lot 4 by on or before August 1st?
Why don't you just state it that it's, I mean, you might as well just start tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Like, seriously, there's no change. So don't even put a date, just put as the MOU is signed. Once you guys get the legal wording done and the mayor's happy with it, then it's signed. It's in effect. So don't put any limitations on it.
Second.
I got one question.
Yes, Tom.
I got one question. So what we're doing is this binding memorandum of understanding that just for my own knowledge, that changes or that tweaks the shoot. Yeah, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was about to say it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, this does not change the development.
Okay, it just allow,
Development.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? I have a motion in a second. Any more discussion on this item?
Mayor, could I ask one real quick question for clarity for staff? When basically we need the subdivision to be to a finished state, I understand that all the water, the power, the things will not be charged, but do we issue a building permit for that lot before then?
I honestly, my opinion is issue a building lot as soon as they want it. We know the rest of for one building lot, and the rest of the 9 can't proceed until everything else is done.
And then the fire district, the only thing is the fire district. That's got to be worked out by them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it says that in there that they have to meet that.
And we will work very closely.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and to clarify on that, the fire district consent, whatever agreement they reach, that's to all 10.
Right.
This one Lot 4 is just to commence construction without other conditions, because we said power, life power, and the water, those are 2 conditions we're allowing to not be completed for the 10, but we're saying for the 1 parade home, we're lightening those restrictions even more. We'll allow that one to go through. One clarifying question I have is, do you want the signs to be in the agreement to place those and maintain those, or just trust in good faith?
No, just,
Well, I'd like them to, but I think they're going to be responsible. They're going to do it themselves.
Yeah.
As long as I'm indemnified.
Yeah.
But
I'll have this up in the next week or 2.
yeah, we want public safety out there at all costs. They're way agreeable, so I don't think they have to be in this MOU.
Thank you.
We have his word right now.
Okay, we still have motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Get working. All right, we are on to our calendar of events. 4th of July celebration. Yes,
I noticed on the sign, it says 8 o'clock, and up there you're saying 7:30.
we'll fix the sign.
That's pretty line up, is it?
Yeah, the parade lineup, breakfast is at 8. Yeah, so we will,
7:30, but
7 for lineup, parade is 7:30, and then breakfast is at 8.
So what she's saying is the road sign says.
Right,
8
that's what I'm
o'clock.
saying, we'll fix the road sign.
Should we? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll get somebody out to fix the road sign. Those are easier to change than the printed flyers I have in my hand. So we'll change the road sign. All right, so put out the word. The city is looking for volunteers for the 4th of July. They need some help. So if you know anybody, talk to your neighbors, we'll get some help for the city. It's a great celebration. I hope everybody comes out to that celebration. And then community readiness meeting Thursday, July 11th, here at the city hall at 7 p.m. Is there any more things I've missed?
where's the car show at?
The car show is at the park with the 4th of July. So it's a rolling car show. It's really neat. We did it last year. They're doing it again. Anyways,
Are we meeting the 3rd,
the 3rd of July,
right? Isn't that our next meeting?
I think it is.
July.
I believe so.
won't be here.
Yeah, 3rd of
I
July.
may not be here either, but that's a,
I missed one yet. but I can't. Yeah, maybe I talked my kids out of it. Maybe
We will discuss that. We'll, yeah,
Okay, that's
we'll,
fine.
we'll put that out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a head count. If we're not gonna have enough people here, we're definitely not gonna meet,
Okay.
so. All right,
Justin, I have
yes.
a solution to the Creekside sign if you want to hear it.
Oh, yeah, let's discuss, yeah, if you've got the creek
I'm
sign.
thinking, I talked to, and I'm thinking the best solution is local traffic only
Okay, just,
and some 15 mile an hour, and we try that.
All right.
So if you can instruct staff to print those up, and
yeah, for Creekside.
you'll need 4
Sorry,
signs.
it's from Old Church around the corner. We've discussed this a couple times.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So the right of way actually that goes across somebody's property.
I know. We don't even own the road.
So that's how I kind of went with just local traffic only, not to get really anything to get them
Just
riled
put
up for any reason.
private drive too. maybe
And there's a
private drive.
15 mile an hour sign there already, so if we put
Right.
one on the beginning and the front, I think we'll be all fine.
All right. I don't know what the issue with that.
Might not do any good, but we made an attempt to
Only.
satisfy.
There's a safety issue that was addressed when they
It's
requested
a
that.
huge safety issue.
So would that be legally, I don't know what ramifications that would be. Is there a special thing we have to do there?
No, that would be within the city's police powers to manage the welfare and safety. It would be helpful if it was posted on the public right of way. If there's any concern.
Yeah, let's, if we put a
where the
sign up, let's make sure it's on our property. Let's not put a sign on somebody else's.
That would be my concern, is putting it
Yeah.
on private property. of
Yeah, let's just make
local
sure we
traffic.
put the sign maybe on the corner of Old Church and
Yep, and the other one right on the corner of Main.
Main, yeah, the state. Yeah, this one here, Toka Boulevard and Creekside.
I think local, whatever the attorney would
Yeah.
suggest there, so.
Yeah, I like that idea, local traffic only.
We could pull, there's a curve sign with 50 mile an hour in that disputed property now.
Yeah, we could take that
We could probably pull it if we have.
and just use that, move it.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think they need no turns coming up at 15.
Okay, so hopefully they're only going 15. I won't tell you how fast I used to drive on that when I was a kid,
Do that or whatever.
so.
That ends with that.
Budget?
I think we got that in
If not, I
streets.
guess I'll pay for it.
Any other discussion you guys want to bring up while we're?
Mayor, I actually would like to address a couple of comments that were made earlier during the public forum. I think it's important, just for clarification for the public. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the suggestion that the council's, or the planning commission's policies and procedures were written by the city treasurer. That is not accurate. So if we go back and just to clarify here, the council has policy and procedures. When planning commission was going to become paid, we needed to have policies and procedures for them to go by. So at that point in time, the council's policy and procedure manual was forwarded to legal review. It was forwarded by Ruth, not as the treasurer, but as HR, because that's who onboards members of the council or the mayor or staff. So she had access to it and it was forwarded. The other thing to clarify is that that document is a draft. We had a meeting here at Town Hall, which actually involved Stacy Eaton, where we provided that as a draft. We told them that they wanted to start writing those policy procedures among the planning commission, and we said that we would provide that as a draft. So there's nothing binding in there. So to say that it was just written by the treasurer, that's not exactly accurate. Even the council policy and procedures originated from an attorney. So that, I wanted to clarify that, but that came about when the planning commission was going to become paid, and we needed to have something in place to onboard them. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to address is the discussion. We can go back and look at that. One of the things that they brought up was that the planning commission answers to the city manager. I'm not entirely sure where they got that. If it's in that draft, I'm not sure. I have not read through the draft of the policy
Right, that-
procedure manual. It's straight
It
to
was,
the-
there was a,
But if that's the
there was a
impression,
chart in there.
they do not answer to the city manager. That's never
Right,
been
and that,
the
and
suggestion.
I know it was open. We don't always answer those things, so.
Yeah, and it's a draft, right? And so I
Right, it's just a
understand.
draft, and planning and zoning are gonna go through it and they're gonna tweak
Right,
it.
was provided as a template. So I think that's important to note. One of the other things I would like to address is the conversation that she had where, that Anita spoke to about where we had 3. So about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and then again last year, we actually took that question of if we need a majority vote or if we need 3 in the same direction. We actually took that to Attorney Snow, we took that to Bruce Jenkins, and we took it to the Utah League of Cities and Towns, because at that point in time, there was discussion about what type of government Tokerville City was, as if we were a 5-person council, if we were a 6-person council, if the mayor had the ability to vote, and that was not entirely clear in the documents that we had in the city. So we actually took that to attorneys and we had them weigh in on that, and that's where the 3 in the same direction came from. So if legislature has changed and now you just need a majority vote, that was based on the current legislature at the beginning of last year. So if something has changed, and that will verify that, if there was a vote taken based on majority and any of you wanted to do that, we can verify that. Daisy, you can pull those meeting minutes very, very quickly. But the advice of 3 in the same direction, not a majority, it's 3 in the same direction. That was actually given from legal, so that's not just something that staff, just made up. So when I said that, I'm not sure what meeting they're talking about, but that was what the advice that we had received. So if something changed in legislation, we're obviously willing to verify state code. We don't know every single state code that comes out at that time, so we can only go off of our most recent information. But that's based on legal review. So I just wanted to say that. The other thing, I know that there were kind of some comments made directed at, this and that. We're more than willing to meet with any citizen at any point in time, but yeah. So those are a couple things I just wanted to clarify. We meet with Matt every single week on Thursdays to try to get ordinances turned around as timely as possible. I know that Stacy mentioned he had an attorney working on his van in his garage that gave him very quick answers. That's okay. They're allowed to ask questions and do that. I would assume that's Bruce Jenkins. They're friends and he drives a van. So that would be but either way. So I just wanted to say that I think the staff that we have is incredible. I think they do a good job. I think it's unfortunate when we have situations like that back and forth. But anyway, so yeah, if any of the citizens want to come in and talk to us, we're more than willing to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The citizen, everything I've heard from citizens, they love the staff. They love coming in.
Yeah, I actually really wish that Stacy and Anita would have stayed so I could have talked to them.
Right.
So,
Hopefully they're home watching it.
yeah, maybe. So yeah, or hopefully they'll come in, either way.
Okay. I think we are done with this meeting. If anybody has anything else, we're going to move into close. No need at this point.
We adjourn.
Okay, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 7:44.